I thought they might toil, but I thought they might go through.
I don't know whether I hoped they'd go through because I like Tottenham Hotspur.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I've always liked Tottenham Hotspur as a football club. I don't always like Daniel Levy's attitude sometimes, but I do like Tottenham Hotspur as a football club. It's
He doesn't
the team.
like yours.
He does, actually.
Oh, does he?
At times,
Okay.
like I like his at times. But the point is this, is that I did think that Tottenham would find their way to recover from the most recent form. I didn't think they would compound the issue by getting knocked out of the cup against Sheffield United, not being able to perform against Wolves, albeit they had some chances, and firing blanks in those games. And I thought that they would give their fans something to disarm them.
Yes.
And to do precisely the same as they've done in the last 3 games. I mean, I listened to Conte's interview last night, and I just felt like kicking the television in, quite frankly.
Well, this is it. I mean, he infuriates many people with the way he speaks to the media afterwards, because you never really know what the message is that he's sending. And why send a message immediately after that? Why not talk about the performance and what actually happened on the pitch? The bigger question this morning is, will Antonio Conte see out the season with Tottenham? Simon, before we get to this, before we get to him, a straight question to you. What if it ends up no trophies but a top 4 finish? Would that be deemed a success?
Well, yes, in some people's eyes, yes, because ultimately getting into the Champions League is the gold standard for teams inside the Premier League. There's no guarantee that people can get inside the Champions League, and so it is an achievement in its own right, but it will not quell the noise, the stick that will endlessly beat Tottenham Hotspur, whether it's Daniel Levy or the manager in the dugout. If you don't win something, then ultimately you're in a situation where people are going to use it against you. And when you lose games, what I find inexcusable is some of the things that Conte said last night about you've got to build towards winning. I mean, what a load of old crap. You had an opportunity to build. Losing to Sheffield United was building something, was it? You should have won that game. You should still be in the FA Cup now, and people would still criticise you for getting knocked out against what is a pretty run-of-the-mill AC Milan side. But you'd have something to cling on to. And I do actually begin to feel that I have a bit of empathy for the Tottenham fans. I know I called some of them idiots the other day because I felt the necessity of hounding Daniel Levy out of the club, and a section of sort of hysterical fans are idiotic in their response. But I do understand that if you want to be involved in an ambitious football club, winning things are part of it. When you've got Arsenal across the town looking like they're going to win the Premier League, and you've got your team getting knocked out against Sheffield United in the FA Cup, what are you supposed to do? Applaud that?
Exactly.
And it's the players too.
Yeah.
You can point at Conte. We have to listen to these multi-million-pound footballers about what they're entitled to. Why do they need to be coached and basically organised to be able to go on a pitch and beat a championship side? And that's no disrespect to Sheffield United, but ultimately there has to become a responsibility. It's always someone else's fault. It's always the owner's fault, or it's always the funder's fault. It's never the manager. And I have become now a major advocate for bringing Conte into this football club, a major advocate for keeping Kane and Conte to give you some success. But what is the point of an Antonio Conte if an Antonio Conte hasn't got a point?
Well, this is exactly. And that point that you've just made is well made. Milan at the moment, 5th in Serie A. Gone are the days of Hullet, Rijkaard, Van Basten, Baresi, Maldini. Gone are those days. Tottenham went into this with a real chance of overtaking Milan after that first leg 1-0 defeat and doing something about it, but ended up drawing 0-0. Conte said after the match, I have a contract with Tottenham. I respect the contract. At the end of the season, assessments will be made with the club in the most serene way. Let's see how the season ends. Maybe they can send me away even earlier. What does he mean by that? What matters for a coach is trying to work and raise the bar. As you say, Simon, Sheffield United springs to mind. This year, we're struggling to raise the bar. No, you are, Antonio. Bringing the level from average to good is much simpler. Problems still arise when raising it. And then he went on to say this.
We cannot invent the win or to hope in one miracle one day that a trophy go into our training ground or into our pitch. We have to build. And to have patience. And patience. I understand that for the fans, they don't have patience because for a long time, Tottenham is not winning. In this moment, we don't have a solid foundation to be competitive, to fight, to win. Okay, in my opinion. Tottenham know very well which is my thoughts, and at the end of the season, and then we'll meet, and then we'll make a decision.
And what does that mean? Does he want to be there?
I think it probably means that on the balance of probability doesn't, but he wants to reserve judgment based upon what conversations he has in the summer and perhaps what commitment Tottenham are going to put behind trying to encapsulate whatever Antonio Conte's vision is. Now, here's the question. What is Antonio Conte's vision? because I was a major advocate of the winning mentality that I believed Antonio Conte would bring into Tottenham Hotspur. I thought he would change the culture, and I think after 15, 16 months, it's a reasonable time for him to not be saying the same things as he said when he walked through the door. You've heard this story. You cannot make a case. It's absolute crap to suggest that you need to build things and you don't just invent wins. You win against teams like Sheffield United. That's what you do. I know I'm making this about Sheffield United, but it's absolutely outrageous. These football managers take the mickey. They talk in riddles. They never answer a question. I understand the reasons why he doesn't want to talk about his contract. And I understand why he feels the necessity to bring the contract into it, because the media are going to bring it into it, because he's got a contract looming at the end of the season. And it's not unreasonable for him to not answer that question. And I understand that. I don't like it, but I accept it's the nature of the beast. What I don't accept and don't understand and won't condone and won't allow him to be getting away with is these things like losing in cup competitions like the FA Cup. This would quell some of the noise.
Yeah.
It would release some of the pressure. If Tottenham Hotspur are in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup now, they still have something to play for in this season besides a fourth spot in the Champions League. If the Tottenham fans are happy with fourth spot in the Premier League, then we are redundant in this conversation, because who are we to tell Tottenham fans what they should experience?
Yeah.
I get the impression that a significant proportion of rational and irrational Tottenham fans want to see more from their side, want to see a better looking football team, and want to see something on the table.
You see, Spurs are fourth at the moment. They play Forest next, but Brighton, Liverpool and Newcastle could all overtake them. They've got games in hand. So, when it comes down to it, Simon, you know Daniel Levy. Is he going to be happy if it ends up top four but no trophy?
Economically, I would suspect yes.
Is he going to be happy this morning with what he's
No,
heard from Conte?
Well, I think he's priced in what Conte is. I think Daniel will know exactly what he's going to get from his manager. He knows what Conte's capable of saying. These football managers, you've got to realise, Jim, it's not like I make the case about they're an employee, but when you're paying someone £15 million a year, they get to determine what they're going to do and when they're going to do it. And when you bring them in, all hail the Messiah, right? And they're not. These people are not. A lot of them are very good at what they do, but they aren't what people think they are. And it's not just me having a rant about managers. They don't do what they should do. After 16 months, Conte trotting out the same tripe is so self-unaware, it's almost beggars belief. This is on you, pal. This is about you. Some of these guys don't seem to think that you leave places with people wanting more. You don't leave places with people wanting less. Tottenham fans must be looking at it going, well, actually, we wanted Antonio Conte. We believe he was a serious appointment. We believe that he was a serial winner. We believe he was going to change the culture. But here we are 16 months later, looking at the same backstory being said.
Yeah.
And you have to suggest that Antonio Conte is at part, a significant part of the fault mechanisms that go into place. You've now got people like Richarlison running around saying what they feel they can say, because there's not enough control in that place. And when Conte walks back in the building, rather than the mood go up, like Son said in the interview, we're all looking to the manager going back, it seems to be that it goes down.
And he says there, Simon, as you say, after 16 months, we don't have the foundation to compete. And
with Sheffield United
has fired up. That has fired up the Tottenham fans this morning. Francis, morning, Jim and Simon. For Conte to say we don't have the foundation to compete is an absolute disgrace. He's had 16 months and Levy's backed him. Now he has to go. So many Tottenham fans getting in touch. Just want to say I'm a loyal Tottenham fan, says Varney. He said, we are so tired of being Spurs fans. It's sad and now it's embarrassing. And you heard Conte there. We don't have the foundation to compete. What's he doing?
But in context of the Champions League, he may have a point. Right, because there are bigger and better sides. They're not called AC Milan, right, by the way, but they were big in the Champions League. There are far bigger teams than Tottenham Hotspur getting jettisoned from it. We've seen one go out last night, PSG, with an absolute basket full of so-called superstar footballers, right?
Yeah.
So there is a case to be added into the equation that he has a point when he's talking about specifics of the Champions League. You ain't likely to win the Champions League unless you do a little bit more outside of the pitch and inside the ballroom, right? Let's concur with that.
Yeah.
But you can't reverse that back into a week ago when you're losing 1-0 to Wolverhampton Wanderers, you're losing 1-0 in an FA Cup to Sheffield United, you've been given a beautiful draw, you'd now be playing Blackburn in the quarterfinals and you should be doing your job and get to semi-finals, and the landscape would be different. And that's where Antonio Conte suggests to me that he doesn't get the dynamics of it, doesn't care that much about the dynamics of it, getting paid far too much money for doing far too little. Yeah. And I'm now moving from someone that suggests and advocates, even in recent terms, that Conte and Kane are the way that you must go. Kane, yes, I think Kane will probably go in the summer now because they've got no chance of doing anything. There's no forward planning in Tottenham, it seems to me, to be able to take them to the next level. And Conte is somebody that's marking time.
Will Antonio Conte see out the season with Tottenham? That really is a bottom line question. Do you want him, as Tottenham fans, to see out the season at your club? 03717 223344 81089.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.